As an older Peter Parker scratches and claws to make sense of his new life as a superhero, what will happen when he ends up on a collision course with the mysterious Green Goblin? Well, let's hop into the pages of Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 3 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so as we join the book, it seems that Mary Jane and Richard, Peter's son, are getting a little bit suspicious of all the time that him and May are spending together. They play it off as just simple, good-natured father-daughter time, mainly because neither of them are ready yet to come clean about what they're actually doing as it relates to Spider-Man. Or should I say the superhero still yet to officially be called Spider-Man, that is. We get treated to an awesome scene wherein May and Peter try out several different versions of a new Spider-Man costume, all paying homage to different costumes from throughout the webhead's long history. We have a suit that looks a little bit like the third movie costume, we have one with a hoodie and a utility belt, an obvious reference to the Scarlet Spider. All the while May has commentary for each suit. Nah, that's a little too scary. Nah, that one has too much red. That one has too much blue. Hoodies are so lame. Before eventually both father and daughter end up agreeing on the perfect choice, the original classic blue and red design. Wow, it only took them 3 issues to get here, too. Also, another fun little thing to note, when Peter takes his daughter swinging, she has fun little goggles that actually remind me very much of Annie Mae Parker from the old Renew Your Vow universe. I wonder if that's an intentional reference or if it's just, something you would have to wear if you were swinging around the city as a small child. After that, we transition on over to see Ben and Jonah's brand new media endeavor. It seems that they didn't have near as much money in their funds as they thought, so they had to settle for a crappy rundown building to run this new, still nameless project out of it. Hell, they don't even know if they can actually afford to hire a staff at this point. It's also here that Peter ends up wandering in with a plant gifted by him and MJ to try and help brighten up the new space. The man who would be Spider-Man isn't here for long when he ends up eyeing the string theory board that Ben and Jonah have managed to put together. Apparently the first case they're desperate to try and investigate involves Wilson Fisk, the man who forced them out of the paper and the man who is currently being hunted by a strange green-clad vigilante that the Bugle has taken to calling the Green Goblin. As you remember from reading the last issue, Robbie is actually interested in telling stories about the Goblin, but seemingly every time he tries, he gets shut down. Instead, the Bugle has been printing all sorts of stories about the strange black-suited individual swinging all across the city, meaning that surely someone in power is trying to suppress this story for one reason or another. Given what little information they have to go on to, Ben and Jonah are still not exactly convinced who exactly is the good guy and who's the bad guy out of the two strange new would-be crime fighters who have seemingly popped up overnight. Peter figures unraveling this web would be a perfect job for Spider-Man, and as such showcases what a talented problem solver he is by using the information gleaned from the map to stake out a construction site owned by Wilson Fisk. He figures it's only a matter of time before this guy ends up showing up and Peter can ask him some questions. All of this ends up leading to Peter's very first superhero stakeout, and we get 3 very funny panels wherein he makes a web hammock, eats some donuts, and admits that doing stakeouts absolutely sucks and is boring. It's on the 3rd day when Peter almost thinks about giving up does everything ultimately end up changing. The Green Goblin makes the scene, but more importantly than that, he's doing battle against an assassin who is very clearly this universe's answer to Bullseye. At first you might be thinking, oh wow, so Bullseye works for Kingpin in this new Ultimate Universe too, only for Bullseye himself to say that Fisk is merely a puppet and that Bullseye himself is actively working for the real invisible hand that controls the world, no doubt talking about Captain Britain. Spider-Man swoops on in and decides to get in the middle of this fight, and even though Bullseye is literally like the second supervillain he's ever fought in his career, this guy manages to prove that he's in a whole other league from lamos like Shocker, managing to perfectly battle both Spider-Man and the Green Goblin simultaneously without really breaking a sweat. In fact, this fight probably would have ended very differently if the Green Goblin didn't tactically decide to offer himself up and make it look like he was beaten, just in time to give Spider-Man the opportunity to come up from behind and one-punch Bullseye out. And again, because this is Spider-Man so early in his crime-fighting career, he has to ask the question, okay, I've defeated the bad guy, what do I do now? Do I call the police, only to have the Green Goblin to tell him not to? As Fisk already has most of the NYPD in his pocket, Bullseye ends up getting spirited away by another Goblin glider, meaning that Spider-Man and Goblin finally have a chance to speak one-on-one. It seems that along with a new, more technological costume, this brand new Ultimate Green Goblin comes packing some fancy new tricks, like using small nanomachines to eat away at Spider-Man's mask, force forcibly revealing his true identity. Not to worry though, turnabout is fair play and the Goblin ends up masking, revealing himself to be none other than Harry Osborn, which I think was pretty obvious to anyone paying attention, but here's where it gets really cool. Harry doesn't see Peter as an enemy, he sees him as a guy who's doing more or less the same thing as he is, and as the comic comes to a close, Harry says that him and Pete should go grab a drink and talk about things. And so that was Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 3, everybody, and once again I thought it was another really solid offering. While it was pretty obvious to anyone paying attention, like I said, that Harry would ultimately be revealed to be the Green Goblin, I do love the idea that an older Harry and an older Peter are only meeting now. And it'll be very interesting to see what sort of friendship or working relationship will ultimately be born between the two. I love the idea that Harry and Peter, no matter what they do, are just cosmically pulled to one another. Likewise, even in a world that the Maker ended up manipulating so many important watershed moments in the Marvel Universe didn't happen, Harry was still just drawn to the legacy of the Green Goblin like it's just unescapable. And to think, now we have a universe where when the Green Goblin first appeared, he wasn't a villain but more of a murderous vigilante. You have to wonder, what is Harry's own personal beef with Fisk? Is it connected to the Maker and his own cabal? And will Spider-Man ultimately agree with his tactics, or will that be the thing that sees them end up fighting each other? Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a solid 8 out of 10. The Ultimate Universe just keeps on keeping on, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.